This MMA content is proudly brought to you by the AllStar app, a fully customizable ad-free sports experience. Download it now.
Yeah, let's just jump into you right now you're riding a 3-fight winning streak, man. You've been on streaks before in your career. Does this one feel any different from the ones in the past?
Yeah, I mean, I came into UFC, I went on a streak, then I lost, then I won, then I lost. Now I'm on a streak. It's my longest streak in UFC, which I feel like is kind of like, it's mediocre. I feel like, I've kind of put on a mediocre UFC career. But it feels like more special than my other longer streaks before UFC because, it's UFC and I'm 33 now. So now's the time,
At 33 years old, some people say, I feel better than I did at 23. Is that same as you?
I do. It's weird. Like when I was 23, I didn't have obviously close to as much knowledge as I do now. I'm a better fighter than I was then. I'm smarter. I train smarter. And I think with all the medicine and the trainers that I have and the physical therapy and this and that, like I feel like I could do this for another 5 years at least.
Yeah, I feel like what is it? I don't want to say the scientists, but the medical professionals out there, they're still figuring out stuff for fighters every day. And I think like you said, a lot of fighters are going to have longer careers just because
100%.
of the medical attention that they're getting at these great facilities in Stanford. Of course, if you know the backstory of Stanford, then you know that you guys are getting the best medical treatment possible, right? So how good is that to have in your back pocket compared to other fighters?
Being I know what it's like to, when I lived in New York, I had to take subways, go gym to gym, and go to a different strength and conditioning place, or jiu-jitsu here, or kickboxing and boxing over at this place, and all my therapists and doctors, everything was separate. Like, even when I went to Milwaukee, we didn't have everything under one roof. Mm-hmm. Here, everything's under one roof, with absolutely everything we need. The whole facility, all the staff members, they do everything. So, and we have everything. We literally have everything. It's like our gym is like a UFC Performance Institute. Yeah. Same exact thing.
Yeah, that's exactly. They built the exact same thing, maybe even better because
it's bigger.
Bigger. And I heard you guys have like surgeons. I don't think the UFC has surgeons.
Yeah, we have a surgeon that works with Stanford, and if anyone needs surgery, they send him over to his hospital or his, where he's headquartered, and you have surgery, and then they fly you back. It's been great, man. I'm super grateful, super lucky. I just told you it's 92 degrees right now. I'm sitting outside in my sun room, so it's so much more convenient and easy for me training. And I used to have to wear boots and get on the subway and walk through snow to get to the gym. Now I stroll out of my house with my flip-flops on and no shirt, just shorts, and drive to the gym on a smooth road.
Yeah.
Unlike New York.
The flip-flop life is much better.
It's different.
The last time we saw you fight was against Joe Salecki. It was a split decision, so of course people are going to say that one guy won or the other guy won. There's going to be an argument for who got a better performance. What did you think of your performance that night?
So when I finished the fight, I thought I won. The first round, I came out and tried to time him with the knee, and I slipped, and he ended up on top, and he took my back, and I lost that round. Obviously, I had like a minute on top at the end of the round, and then no one sees it, but in the second round, I came out and I hit him with an uppercut that wobbled him, maybe you caught it. I don't know. If you rewatch it, the first punch I throw in the second round wobbled him, and then he didn't want to fight any, like, really after that. It was just him, like, trying to hold on for dear life, pushing me to the cage. He's a big guy. He's bigger than me. He's pushing me to the cage, trying to take me down. He took me down. I would hop back up, took me down. I was elbowing him and kneeing him. And then I ended up on top in the last couple of minutes of the second round. So I knew I won the second. And then the third round, I knew I won because I was out striking, but it was close. But I had people telling me after, like, oh, you won that unanimously. It wasn't a split decision. I won 2 out of 3 rounds. So, but whatever. I knew I won, and then they gave me the split, and, it went my way. I'm happy. I thought I did enough, and, I mean, I don't know. I don't really care what anyone else says. A win's a win for me.
Exactly. That's the most important thing. A win's a win. The way that the fight played out, from what I remember, was that, like you said, the first round didn't go your way, but then you came back the second and third, grinded it out. Is there a sense of confidence that you can gain going through an experience like that, especially in the UFC?
Oh yeah, I came from behind after getting crushed in the first round. Basically, I mean, he had my back for like 3 minutes of the first round, so I clearly lost. And it was weird. Like, I always thought, like, if that happened to me and I was in the corner, like, would I be nervous? And, I didn't really, like, when I went back to the corner, my coaches were like, all right, you lost that round. And I'm like, all right. They were like, don't do this. I'm like, I'm trying. Like, I'm doing what I can. But I'm like, all right, let's go, And when I won the second round, I'm like, all right, who wants it more now, And I was kind of like, my arms were a little heavy feeling. My legs were a little heavy because he was really pushing me to the cage. He's a big boy. Yeah, I mean, it gives me a lot of confidence knowing that, I could go. First of all, I know how to win fights. Most of my fights I haven't had a finish since my first UFC fight, which is not a good thing necessarily, but I know that I got cage time and I can win fights. I know they should have stopped my second UFC fight though. I was crushing Hawker Diaz and they just let him die out there. But and then I lost some that I got stopped in. But yeah, I think earlier on, like when I first got into UFC, I was in a groove and then I lost the groove. I went to Milwaukee. I lost it. Now I'm in it, and I'm ready to show a higher level than what I've been showing. Not that I haven't been showing a high IQ level, but a more like vicious, violent, finishing type of fight.
Well, I guess what I mean, like, that could be the missing piece, like you just said. You know how to win fights, you know how to come back from fights. You've been through every scenario. Now it's just about putting it together and putting together a highlight reel package as you continue your career, right? After that fight, there was the rumblings of Paddy Pimblett, of course, and that never materialized. How far did the talks go with that fight?
How far what?
Did the talks go? Like, was there ever a contract, or did the
No,
Shelby
I never got a contract. We were, calling each other out on Twitter and like having mutual, conversations that were like, all right, let's do this, like back and forth on Twitter between me and Patty. And then one day I was laying on my bed and I got a text message from Ariel Hawani. And he was like, congratulations. And I was like, for what? And he was like, the fight. And I was like, what fight? And then I go on Twitter and I see, Dana announced on Barstool that I'm fighting Patty. And I'm like, oh, news to me, but I'll take it, obviously. But no, they never offered it to me. I don't think they ever offered it to him. I think I was a name that might have been like thrown around, but it was never like officially like, here's a contract, sign it, Patty, or here. And I know they didn't do that for me. I never got a contract with his name on it. I said yes, and I tried to get my manager to get it done, but it didn't happen. And obviously he fought a different guy. But I think it makes for a good storyline down the line,
Definitely does. And they actually booked you against Alves, and he
Yeah.
withdrew from the fight. Did they
Yeah.
give you a reason for him pulling out?
I think it was just injury, assuming.
Okay.
And then they offered me someone else. I said yes. That person said no. Apparently, I'm not gonna say who it was because whatever, it doesn't matter. And then, so like I found out I was fighting Grant just like a week or so ago, and whatever it was. But I knew Raphael was out for a while. I signed the contract a while back, and then he was out, and no one knew for a couple of weeks because we were going back and forth trying to find another opponent. So like, it's not short notice as far as like being out of camp because I've been in camp, but it's short notice. I got the same notice as Grant did that we were fighting each other, and I'm assuming he's been in the gym every day anyways. It's not like he, most guys don't spend that much time away from the gym. So
those couple of weeks where that your opponent is out of the fight, no one else really knows, but you're still training for a fight. How does that feel? Take us into your mind through those couple of weeks.
Actually, for me, it just like relieves. If anything, it's like less pressure. You're like, all right, I'm not thinking about a specific person. I'm just gonna do what I do. Anyways, I mean, yeah, person to person, you might fight a little differently. But I'm never really. I try not to get as worried with what they're gonna do. As I should be more focused on what I'm gonna do. So, when Raphael pulled out, I was like, whatever, sucks. Hopefully, I got a fight, or maybe they'll push it. Maybe they'll make it earlier. Who knows? I'm gonna just train like I'm fighting April 30th, and that's it. And then they got an opponent, and now it's felt like I've been training for Grant the whole time.
Yeah. And when you go to look at Grant, right, he's unbeaten in the UFC. He seems like he's a guy just like yourself on a streak. And at the same time, right at the the verge of the top 15. So this could be one of those fights where whoever wins this will get somebody, in the top 15 or near the top 15. What do you think of him and the matchup?
I think it's a great matchup. I think when I win, then I'll deserve a top 15 for sure. Stylistically, I think it's a good matchup for me. I think I know what he's going to do, which is to try to take me down, and kind of similar to Salecki, though. I think Grant has better takedowns and is a little more aggressive. I think Joe has like a more sporty jiu-jitsu, like slicker type of jiu-jitsu, very tricky. But Grant has great grappling, obviously, and we have a similar style. I think it's going to be like my last fight. Who wants it more? Or who like sets the tone first? You know what I mean?
For sure. And he switched teams ahead of this fight. Now he's at American Top Team. Gelling and acclimating to new surroundings, it takes some time, especially for fighters when you have to meet so many new people and personalities and get to work with them. Do you feel like that could have a negative effect on performance?
I think it could and it might not. Depends who you are. Yeah, I mean, it takes a while to get used to a new style, new gym, new techniques, new stuff like that, new way of training, new schedule. But I don't think it really is that. A fight's a fight, man. You go in there, who knows what's going to happen. So I don't think it's really. I don't look into it that much. I don't think he is either.
How did it impact you when you moved to Stanford a few years ago?
It was the best thing I did for my career. Milwaukee wasn't. I learned a lot, and I loved everyone there. It just wasn't my style. I needed this kind of stuff, like way more grappling. We grapple every day, basically, and hard goes, good wrestlers, good jiu-jitsu guys, good strikers, and the way that Henry teaches kickboxing is more my style than what Rufus Sport was. Also, my original coach, Jason Stroud, is now a full-time coach at Stanford.
Okay.
So it's like everything came full circle. It's perfect.
Yeah, it is. It is. Yeah, I didn't even know that. That's pretty insane. I heard I remember I was talking to another just one of your teammates that trains out there at Stanford, and he's the same way. His coach actually coaches at Stanford, one of his original coaches, which is
Who was it?
when
Adam?
Alvarez.
Alvarez. Yeah.
The Cuban guy, the Cuban
Dieter.
guy.
Yeah, Dieter. Yeah.
Yeah, he's crazy
Angel
athlete too.
Alvarez's coach is Dieter. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
work with him too. We have like,
Yeah.
there's like 70, 60, 70 guys. So they need multiple coaches to handle everyone,
Yeah. Probably need more coaches, right? There's just so many high level guys there. When you go from fight to fight, right? You have like these gaps between training camps, and that's when fighters work on stuff. They try new things. In the past year, what have you worked on or added that has had a tremendous benefit?
I've been wrestling a lot more than I normally did. And, I'm back with my coach. So it's been like a year of being back with him, getting back to that, my style. I work on everything as much as I can. I don't just say, "Oh, I'm going to do jiu-jitsu for like a month." Like I'm always doing it all every day, year round. So I think overall, just my skill set has gotten a lot better, and I think my IQ has also went up. So, and I'm also constantly, working, like trying to be as fit as I can. So cardio, endurance wise. And I think that's where, the difference will be made.
The fight IQ, man, that's just such a interesting aspect of or a skill. Do you feel like it's a skill for fighters, the fight IQ? Like it's something that
Yeah, I
what do
think
you
you
think?
watch fights and you're like, all right, this person really knows what they're doing.
Mm,
Little things that, um, you know, people that don't train or fight will never pick up. Um, and then you watch some guys and you're like, what is he doing? And I'm not trying to knock anyone, but it's just the way it is. Like how you should go about fighting a certain way at a certain time of the match. You know what I mean? Like, I think a lot goes into. There's so many variables that people don't know about that go into fights and before fights, and you know, during your training camp. There's so many things that people think. People think, oh, it's just fighting. Like they just go. They both trained equally, and they're both. That's it. Meanwhile, like you don't know like what happened the day before the fight or
yeah.
during his weight cut or during camp. Like there's so many things, and then in the fight too, obviously, like so many things that people don't see that a trained person will be like, wow, did you see that? Look at that. That made the whole difference in the whole fight. Like little things. But yeah, so I think it is a skill set for sure.
Yeah, and you know, with this fight coming up, man, I'm pretty sure, like you said, the skills are there. I think the fight IQ is going to be a big factor against Dawson. How do you see
Mhm.
this fight playing out? How do you see yourself performing against Dawson?
Man, every time I say that I'm going to get a finish, I don't.
So you're not
So I'm
gonna
just going to
get a
say that
finish
I'm going to win a dominant decision, and hopefully I'll get a finish.
for sure, man, for sure. Now, a couple more questions outside of fighting. The first one is cryptocurrency. I'm interested to get your thoughts on crypto because it's becoming like intertwined with MMA now. You see
Yeah.
like guys shouting out crypto, and the UFC is sponsored by a huge crypto company. What is your take on crypto? And would you ever entertain the maybe getting paid in crypto, like your fight purse or anything like that?
Um, I'm in crypto. I have, before all these cryptocurrencies, crypto coins started sponsoring fighters, I had already been in crypto for a while. Uh, I'm really big on one called AMP, Flexa HQ. It's a way to make transactions like really fast and immediate with way less chances of fraud, and it's cheaper. So like Visa or MasterCard, they charge the merchant to make these transactions. That's how they make their money. AMP does it and way cheaper and immediate. So it's faster, cheaper. It's going to be the new way to make payments and take payments. So I'm big in that. I got a lot of that. I got Ethereum and I have some Bitcoin, and that's it. But I am sponsored by Marshall Rogan.
Mm-hmm.
So, they want to help fighters out and give guys money, then I'll be glad to support them, And, it's rare when a company just wants to just help people by giving them money.
Yeah,
Rarely see that now. Back in the day it was big, but now it's
definitely
hard.
rare.
I'll take it.
Yeah, for
Shout
sure,
out
man.
to them, Marshall Rogan.
Yeah, exactly like what you just said. If they're down to support the fighters,
Why not?
support the fighters, man, and accept it. You know what I mean, and support it. It's all good. PTSD in combat sports, not CTE, but PTSD from like an injury or a weight cut or even like a damage from a fight or even a loss. Have you experienced this in the past and overcame it or seen it around you?
I mean, I've been injured bad,
Mm-hmm.
but I never got PTSD from it.
Okay.
I was like, whatever, it's part of the game, man.
Mm-hmm.
I had a metal plate put in my face under my right eye. It sits on the side of my right eye and under my eye.
Mm-hmm.
And then I had a metal plate put on under my left eye, just right here.
Damn.
And you could feel the screws and stuff. It's just part of the game. I had shoulder surgery. I had nose surgery. I've had other injuries, obviously. Broken hands, fingers, hurt my knees. But no, I never had like PTSD from it. There's always a concern. Like, I don't want to get fucking hurt. I hope I get through this camp unscathed. That's always my thought.
Yeah.
It's part of the game, man. But I've heard people like, they get hurt or hit or knocked out and they're like, man, like, how do I get over that? And I'm like, well, you got to ask yourself, is this what you want to do? Like, maybe this isn't for you. If now you're scared,
Well, even we were talking about fight IQ earlier, and if you make the wrong move in a fight and you get criticized for that move, you know what I mean, and maybe lost you that fight, that could have PTSD in your future fights where you're doubting yourself, with your decision making, right? It goes so deep, with all of this like psychological, and it's crazy.
I think you just gotta, work on what you're weak at or mistakes that you made in the past and just try not to make them again, Well, you got to drill it, man. If you don't drill it, you'll never do it. I tell the younger guys all the time in the gym, I'm like, they're like, how do you do that? And I'm like, I drilled it for years. So if you want to do this also, then you have to drill it. But if you don't drill it, you'll never do it in the fight.
For sure.
So, and then they don't drill.
One last thing, man. Let's say a person is taking a fight, right, after 6 months of training. What advice would you give them?
Stay in the moment. Have fun. Don't worry about the result. Just work as hard as you can. Being prepared brings confidence. That's all you can do. Can't control the future. Can't change the past. So you might as well just have fun. Do what you can right now. Get better.
All right. April 30th, man, you're back in action. UFC Fight Night in Las Vegas. Thank you, Jared, for the time, man. I appreciate you.
Thanks, bro. I appreciate it, man.